The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on Beyond the Headlines are not necessarily those of management, ownership, or production unit of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without express written permission of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2021.
Good evening. The smugglers bill undergoes some changes. We hear of the amendments the government made straight ahead for you. Also this evening, the Free National Movement protesting the new bill ahead of this morning's House meeting. The Eyewitness News team was there. Prime Minister Davis stating over the weekend why he deserves a second term. But F&M leader Michael Pintar says no, he doesn't. It's all straight ahead for you this evening. Good evening. This is Beyond the Headlines. I'm Shanique Miller. It's great to have you along this evening. Immunity from prosecution for human smuggling now off the table after the latest amendments to the highly controversial Smuggling of Migrants Bill 2025. Following public pushback, National Security Minister Wayne Munro told Parliament today that the government took the concerns of the people in mind and made the noted changes.
We've heard the outcry. This is a responsive government. Although, as I've said, Mr. Deputy Speaker, when you look at it, one would just ask what offense illegal entry into the receiving country or transit country, I don't see that offense created, or any other that you're getting immunity for. But, Mr. Deputy Speaker, this government is responding by removing it. People had a problem with there being immunity, and it's being removed.
Well, before that happened, you heard from Minister of National Security a moment ago. Before that happened, the announcement there, the amendment to the Section 11 was announced in Parliament this afternoon. Opposition members took to the streets as Prime Minister Davis sought to clear up any concerns that them and wider Bahamians may have. Delana Roca picks up the story from here.
Government continues to defend its Smuggling of Migrants bill, despite strong criticism from members opposite, with the Free National Movement and the Coalition of Independents all protesting against the legislation, claiming it unintentionally gives asylum to certain groupings. Prime Minister Philip Davis pointed to what the bill intends to do in Parliament today.
If you plan or organize the route, you can be charged. If you provide the vessel or the aircraft, you can be charged. If you supply false documents, you can be charged. If you provide safe houses or transportation inside the Bahamas, you can be charged. If you take payment at any point along the way, you can be charged.
Despite this, Free National Movement leader and parliamentary colleagues walked from City Market Lot to Parliament, calling on government to withdraw the bill.
The bill opens more loopholes than it closes. One of the major concerns we had is the sort of blanket immunity it provides to persons who we do not consider victims, who willingly participate in paying money to bad actors in order to come in our country.
It's an argument that Coalition of Independents leader Lincoln Bain also took issue with.
That is dangerous because that is the asylum part of it. Non-refoulement basically means that you can't send them back if the conditions aren't right for them to be sent back. And so that's asylum. That's what it is. And so it's telling you that that is the purpose of this act. So all that smugglers talk is not the purpose of the act. Section 3 shows you the purpose of the act.
The Prime Minister also defended his administration's broader immigration initiatives, pointing to enforcement exercises that have yielded progress.
By the middle of this year, the Minister of National Security was able to report that about the 13,000 I spoke about had been repatriated in less than 4 years. At the same time, the number of detainees at Carmichael Road Detention Center has fallen dramatically, at points to just a few dozen. And that is what happens when the government insists that all who are detained must be processed and returned quickly, instead of allowing numbers to build up and conditions to deteriorate.
The legislation is expected to go to the Committee of the Whole tonight before passing. Delana Roker, Eyewitness News.
Well, welcome back now. Out here live, we're going to get into this. The Hot Topics panelists have been following this and since last week. In fact, one or two of us have been debating and discussing this yesterday and straight into today, because it's something to pay attention to and to listen to all sides, and of course to hear exactly what people are thinking, what the concerns are. And then of course today you all heard the amendments that were done, certain explanations, certain further clarification of what this bill and various clauses is intended to do. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines, Ellington Ferguson and Garth Rosborough. Good evening to each of both of you. It's good to have you both here.
Good evening, Shanique, and good evening, Bahamas. Certainly it's a pleasure to be here once again to lend my voice to these issues that we have to deal with in this country.
Good night to everyone. Good to be here with you.
Well, listen, let's jump right in. You all saw this. This has been really a heated discussion, very controversial, various points of view being said. One, that it's an asylum bill. The other, that, listen, it makes room for too much, or at least too much to interpretation. Then on the smugglers' part, you heard the Minister of National Security discuss that and further clarified that. Your thoughts on the amendments, what the amendments are, for even the protest by the opposition today. Of course, we know the COI protested last week. But your thoughts on this bill and how it's all continuing to play out.
Shanique, this has been some very interesting turn of events in the bill. While myself and most Bahamians, even as it is said by the opposition, supports the bill, there have been some things that a lot of Bahamian was a little antsy about, and rightfully so, some wording of some things. And I'm happy that the government can't listen to the people and change, well, some of those things, because there are still one or two little nuances that people are still questioning. But in general, as it relates to that clause 11, they removed that when it talks about migrants not facing any penalty or not having to face the court for that. I think that was a miss put in there. It should not have been in there. Unfortunately, I don't know how it get in there. Because
they're saying these migrants aren't the ones who, well, they all pay to come, don't they? No. Even on those little makeshift boats,
Absolutely.
They pay heavily to come.
They pay to
but in
come.
the smuggling operations, they too pay to be smuggled into wherever else it is that they're destined to want to go.
It is a crime on both sides, and I must give credit to the opposition that in the House of Assembly today, they talked about the fact that the migrant was mentioned as victims. The government take that out of one section, but there's still, and I saw it, a few other sections in there where they're still referred to as victims. They all are participating in this. I understand all of the conventions to protect and to care for these people until we are able to return them to their place of wherever nationality they're from. Mm-hmm. But no.
Let's say, for example, let's talk about, but Garth, you know what, I know you want to jump in. Of course, Howard Johnson as well want to jump in. But as you all speak, I also want you to talk about the fact that Wayne Monroe said and addressed the aspect of the bill where it says you cannot, and this is a convention from before independence, you cannot return a migrant to a war-torn nation or somewhere where I guess they're under threat, starving, food security, that kind of thing.
No, but that is nothing new, Shanique. That is nothing new. That is a convention that is embedded in international law. And where a country is in turmoil, you have to do whatever you have to do, what they call a temporary asylum, until you're able to send them back. Not necessarily, if we want to look in our own application here, as it relates to those who south of us that comes here, mainly from Hispaniola and other surrounding nations, but people comes here from around the world. But where there is a war-torn and you send them back upon the plane that you send them may not even doggone escape. when you know that that kind of condition exists, it is wrong to send them back into that, and that's an international convention.
Well, first of all, many of us do believe that all Haitians come from a war-torn country, and amazingly enough, Port-au-Prince, the capital city, is war-torn. The rest of Haiti is somewhat peaceful and tranquil like every other Caribbean island. And so when you are fearful of sending people back to Haiti, I sometimes question that because not everyone that comes here is from Port-au-Prince.
Absolutely.
You know, but they may say they're from Port-au-Prince, but they need some proof to show that they're from Port-au-Prince. So this whole idea of asylum, every Haitian that comes here deserving asylum, I think this conversation has to go into greater depth as to identify who are these individuals who are seeking asylum. Is the asylum a genuine concern? And I think as I look at democratic process, I look at the House of Assembly, I look at the royal opposition, I look at the government, this conversation is one that is necessary, but at this particular time, concerning it may be, I think it's going to take a while to get to the bottom of this.
Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, colleagues, and good evening, Bahamas. Shanique, I just want to state from the onset, right, and looking at all of this stuff that's been transpiring over the past couple of weeks, I want Bahamians to be clear because there are purveyors of mass hysteria, scare tactics, and fear that are out here trying to capitalize and gain political traction. I want to be very clear. Whether it's the FNM or the PLP that were the government today, 9 months before a general election, it makes absolutely no sense that any party that is the government of the Bahamas seeking a fresh mandate or a new mandate from the people will be providing quarter, safe haven, or some status that they don't deserve to migrants, unknown migrants, illegal or otherwise, who cannot vote in this country, who cannot vote in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, to the detriment of Bahamians who do vote and live in that country. It's just inconceivable. So we have to stop paying attention to this fear and mass hysteria that is just created to use people for political purposes. No government is going to do that, PLP or FNM. Bahamians vote in elections. Why would you, so close to an election, create a bill that provides blanket or de facto asylum to people who cannot vote for you, people who do not make the country what it is? It's just inconceivable. So we got to get that notion out of our head from the onset that this is some great conspiracy, right? And then also we need to remove these distortions, right? So I looked at this bill and read over it all weekend and even today. So what you have to balance is how do you protect genuine victims of exploitation without creating a blanket immunity that incentivizes or normalizes illegal entry?
That's trafficking.
The PLP government did not have to take Section 11 out of this bill. Whoever is responsible for drafting this bill and the PLP government need to get slapped up. It was this part, Section 11, good bill. But Section 11, there are some things that needed to be tightened and strengthened. They didn't have to revise. The first thing they needed to do, Shanique, and I wrote this down, the first thing they needed to do was create a clear distinction between a smuggled migrant as a victim and a smuggled migrant as a participant. Make that very, very, very clear.
Right.
And then on the back end of that, establish a formal screening process. When you intercept migrants on the high seas, what you have is that screening process goes through immigration authorities, defense force personnel, law enforcement authorities, whoever comes into contact with these people, you have to make sure that they are trained in identifying trafficking indicators to distinguish between a victim and a participant.
And one who's being trafficked. Yes.
Someone who is paying to enter a country's borders illegally is a participant.
Yes.
Vulnerable persons, minors who are being sex trafficked, women, and they are victims. You have to clearly distinguish this, and that would have strengthened and given more teeth to this bill. There's more, but I know we got to keep moving on.
Yes, and you're right. I don't know why they did not, and just further clarify what was there, because I thought it was plainly stated, perhaps maybe a little bit of it ambiguous, so it needed tightening up, as you said, to be able to just clearly explain what it was. And I don't think there's a line of asylum, people seeking asylum waiting anywhere tucked in a corner. In fact, the Bahamas has a record of perhaps providing the least amount of asylum
Shanique,
to those who would be seeking. Yes.
Last thing, Shanique. So when you have law enforcement officers who can identify these trafficking indicators, right? It's not finished there. There are several different touch points that can clearly distinguish a smuggled migrant as a victim from a smuggled migrant as a participant. You also have, once the investigators get these migrants on the high seas or on the land, you now have to present the evidence that is collected.
That's correct.
As a result of the apprehension to the DPP. It goes now to the Attorney General's office, and these people who are going to be presenting a case have to look at the information as well, and they make a determination about how they're going to prosecute, and then it goes to the courts for judicial review. So there are all these different touch points where you can identify and determine who is a victim and who is a participant. And so all of these things can take place to make sure that we determine who is a migrant and who is a victim.
Yes, and so listen, gentlemen, I'll tell you though, this pushback, the government really got a ton of pushback last week. The Coalition of Independents protested. Today, the Free National Movement protested, and really before the House even met, and meeting at 10 o'clock this morning, 10 o'clock, 10:30. Your thoughts on all of this, the various factions that decided that, listen, this is not going to work, and especially the FNM today standing up as well, saying that they want their voices to be counted.
I think
Can be charged.
there's a lot of mixture in this, and there's some convolution that took place in this whole process. Were there some things that needed to be corrected? Was there some things that need to be reworded? Oh, definitely. And I think, and I'm glad that the party took, the Progressive Liberal Party took the time to attempt to do that. However, though, I think when people start to use other innuendos to throw at the Prime Minister and to say he's doing this for this group of people and all that type of stuff, I'm happy that Prime Minister Davis went out today and he went onto the floor and he defended his record as it relates to illegal immigration. Some 13,000 that they have sent back, repatriated since they came to office, which I think is impressive. I think it's very impressive. And so you cannot go ahead and just try to say the Prime Minister is trying to do this when you can see, on the contrary, he's doing something else as it relates to returning these people back to their homes.
I think, Shanique Miller, as I look at this whole breakdown, we have to make a separation between what I would call legislative clarification and political ambition. This is the month of December. I am totally shocked at the fact that people are still protesting and marching in the month of December, this close to John Canoe and this close to Christmas.
What difference does that make? What difference does that make, Ara?
The difference that it makes is that many of us have already turned off our political mindset. We are hearing you, but we're not truly listening. We're too distracted. Look on the streets. I went to the mall today, overflowing. The streets of Nassau, overflowing. Everyone is busy getting their homes together, painting their houses, cutting their lawns. It's a very, very busy time of year. I'm not saying that this is not important, but this is what I call legislative clarification. We just simply want to know the details, but are we truly concerned? Not until the new year. As for political ambition, no mileage is going to come out of this if that is what they are intending. As you looked at the march today, less than 50 people for a national party walking from City Meat Market on Market Street to Parliament Square. That right there is jaw-dropping. How in the heck did you ever, in your wildest dreams, believe that we were going to stop shopping, stop looking for turkey, stop looking for ham, stop looking for paint to go and walk with you today? That was a crazy idea, Shanique Miller. That is so silly. I would never, in my worst day of thought, consider to do something like that. Right now, yes, we appreciate the legislative clarification, but please, if it's political ambition, you need to save that for next year, January. We want John Canoe. Guess what, Shanique Miller? We want the Saxons.
God, watch it. Stay focused on this. Stay focused on this topic, and don't you ever again make that kind of statement. Howard, jump in really quickly, please.
Yeah. So, Shanique, the thing about it is this, right? The opposition is doing what they are supposed to do. If there is any muddying of the waters, if there's stuff that needs clarification or needs, to be further broken down so that it can be understood, then the opposition is supposed to raise those questions and concerns in the halls of the parliament. Now, I asked the question last week when we first talked about this, and that was, when was this bill tabled? And it came to my attention, I stand to be corrected, but it came to my attention that it was tabled on October the 15th.
Yes.
Now, if this bill was tabled on October the 15th, and all of the members of the House and the Senate had access to this information in this bill, then what really stumps me at this point is that there were, during that time, between October 15 and today, a by-election was going on. The Free National Movement, as the opposition that is supposed to be viable and effective, had at least 3 public rallies and some press conferences, right? What they should have done, instead of talking about passports on a plane falling out of bags, and Shannon Dawn Cartwright talking about passports the other day, all of these things that are so concerning and so terrible for the Bahamian people at this time, why would these things not raised on the rally stages in Golden Isles and during the press conferences and stuff that they've had? Why were these not raised by the opposition then? I'm not saying that they shouldn't talk about them now, but they should have been raised already if this is such an alarming issue.
Yes,
and
Howard.
I can't understand for the life of me why it was not. They have to answer those questions.
Howard, thank you so much. And I'll tell you this, you all do not, as Garth said, check out and say it's Christmas time. No. You've got to stay focused, because I'll tell you, if it's something to pay attention to, we must all be able to walk and chew gum and maybe do a bit of juggling and all the rest of that at the same time. Pay attention to any law that's before Parliament that would interest and affect Bahamians. Listen, we're just getting started tonight. How about this question for you as we go to a break? Did Prime Minister Davis do a good enough job to be re-elected? He seems to think so. We're going to talk about that after the break.
Welcome to Sunburst Super Christmas Sale, where you buy 5 and get 1 free. Prices start at just $28.95 for top quality wall paints and high gloss oil paints for $55.95 a gallon. Lucky customers get a chance to win a 42-inch TV every Saturday starting now. The drawing will take place at Sunburst Paints the first week of December. You can also have a chance to win one of 2 65-inch TVs during the month of December. So hurry on down to Sunburst Paints on Harold Road, where you buy 5 and get 1 free. Happy holidays, everybody!
'Twas the night before Christmas. The stage was set. Big Bang arrived. The biggest yet. Fantasy 5 flashing. Those 5 balls glow. Quick draw. Lotto making winners flow. The island erupted. The cheers grow bigger. Santa laughed out loud. Our balls are bigger. From Moneyland's heart, the truth was clear. At Island Luck, winners live here.
It's an island luck Christmas. Joy's in the air. Jackpots are rising. There's luck everywhere. No snow on the ground, just sunshine and cheer. It's an island luck Christmas. The best time of year.
Big Bang, December 20th. See you there.
2026 is heating up, and the nation's voice is louder than ever. Here on Beyond the Headlines, we're checking the mood, the momentum, and the message of the people. I'm Shanique Miller. Each week, we're taking the temperature of the electorate to see what's really driving the nation. Who's connecting? Who's cooling off? What issues are heating up ahead of 2026? This is Temperature Check 2026, where journalism meets the nation's heartbeat.
Beyond the Headlines is now introducing powerful TV advertising opportunities made just for you. Choose our television ad package, 20 30-second ads for $2,000 or 20 60-second ads for $2,500 plus VAT. Prefer flexibility? Go a la carte. Just $150 for a 30-second ad or $200 for a 60-second ad. Step into the spotlight with our interview package. One 15-minute interview for $500 or 4 for $15 per month. Or bring Beyond the Headlines directly to you with our live on location package, only $2,600 plus VAT. For more information, contact our sales agent at 242-466-6173.
This segment is brought to you by EV Motors Fleet Sales Division. For 2026 commercial vehicles, call 821-2403 today.
Prime Minister Davis making his appeal tonight for a second term. He says it's to complete the work he started. His comments didn't go unnoticed, though. The opposition insists that Davis's time to enact change has ran its course. Devontae Hanna has the details.
This could be devastating and disastrous. How the FNM back it out.
Tonight, a clear message to Bahamians from Prime Minister Philip Davis, one where he pleaded with the electorate to allow the Progressive Liberal Party to complete the work it has started.
Second term is not about my ego. It's about our children, our young men, and this country.
Davis cites proposed upgrades to clinics and hospitals across the country, a new plan to lessen crime, and ultimately the desire to strengthen the economy. All of these things, his opponent, opposition leader Michael Pintard, believes the Prime Minister has failed to do since coming into office 4.5 years ago.
Every comment the Prime Minister makes about the next general election should really be about how will the Bahamian people's lives be improved. We do not believe that he's done a good job over the last 4 years, and so we present an alternative so that we can help Bahamians cope and benefit from their society. He's not doing that at the moment.
Pintard argues the Prime Minister and the PLP ought to be more focused on addressing issues in the Family Islands. One in particular is the lack of infrastructure, especially within the healthcare system.
That is only typical of many problems we have in the Family Islands that we are not addressing. These are the things a Prime Minister should direct his attention to, and unfortunately, he's not doing that.
And to that, Prime Minister Davis gave this command to PLP supporters.
I expect them to insult us. I expect them to use every trick. We will answer with discipline, facts, calm, and confidence.
If the PLP is successful, it will become the first party to win consecutive terms in almost 30 years, when Hubert Ingram led the Free National Movement to a second win in 1997. Devontae Hanna, Eyewitness News.
Well, gentlemen, there's Prime Minister Davis, and I imagine that was something yesterday that the Prime Minister spoke to, obviously speaking to party supporters, but by extension the nation, saying, listen, give the Davis administration a second term in office. You all, let's just start first with his performance this term. How would you classify his performance and the things he is addressing, the things he's been able to do, the things that are on the drawing board for him and his administration?
Well, Shanique, Prime Minister Philip Davis, in and of himself, I've seen he's been very aggressive. He's been a hard-working Prime Minister. I think they attempted to do some heavy lifting in some areas. Some of the things we're still waiting for them to fully bear fruit.
Heavy lifting like where?
Such as reforming energy in the country. I think that was a major initiative. People are still crying with the highlight bill, but nevertheless, we see all of the work that is going on to transform this sector and with hopes that once this work is done, then we can experience this relaxation of these turbulent energy bills and all that type of stuff. But there's some other areas that we've seen some work going on. We've seen record number of homes being built. There's a lot more to do in that area. That has got to bear a lot more fruits as it relates to Bahamian actually being able to get into these homes and to make these homes more affordable. We hear them talking about the rent to own in some of these subdivisions that they are constructing. We've got to see more of that. We've got to see more Bahamians being able to take advantage of these things. But yes, we're seeing the Prime Minister on the international scale. We're seeing the Prime Minister at the Africa XM Bank, where he went over there and then he brought them here to the Bahamas, and some things that was done, that was established to assist in funding here for the Bahamas. Sometimes people forget about these things, but all of these things happen. And so yes, the Prime Minister have done a tremendous amount of things here in the Bahamas. We've seen in some of the infrastructure, we've seen clinics, trying to reform healthcare. I think that's a noble thing. Again, that is still yet to bear fruit, but they take on the heavy lifting. Clinics are being refurbished and rebuilt all over this island. You see the new clinic right here in New Providence going up to, I guess, to replace the one on Auckland Street is being built there by Jumbe Village. All of the clinics in the Family Islands, and you hear them about the airports that they're now reforming and redeveloping these airports in the Family Islands, not in only in New Providence. And so these things we've got to look at, and as we sit back and decide whether Prime Minister Philip Davis do deserve a second term in light of what the opposition is putting. But these are the things that we must look at.
Yeah, for me, it was a very rocky beginning, and right here on Beyond the Headlines, we've just witnessed so many things, Shanique Miller. I can recall sitting here, we were first a bit irritated about the Bermuda trip, the Dubai trip, the feeding of the gorillas, always traveling all the time. Shanique Miller, right here, you brought sad stories to us about generators that were going down on the Family of Islands. Remember, we had the water shortage situation, people were using salt water to go and flush their toilets. And just one story after the other. And we mentioned right here that for the first 3 years, it almost seemed as if the country was on autopilot. But the word was also given from your show, Shanique Miller, that once you see the Progressive Liberal Party government begin to get the machinery in order, you know it's going to be on. And we saw the West Grand Bahama and the Bimini fight for the by-election, and you saw the PLPs gathering together, strengthening up, and coming forth strong. We saw a second by-election. PLP did the same thing. And all throughout the last year and a half from this time, the PLP has now been garnering strength. They are the one that are showing the strongest arm, the most financial strength, the most organization. We have another party that's also been very formidable in their own way. But as for the opposition, we're still waiting for them to unify their party. And so if you have to make a comparison between the government and a royal opposition, a divided royal opposition, a weakened royal opposition, I think we have no other choice but to simply look at the truth. And if you really are honest with yourself, very honest with yourself, you very well know that the Progressive Liberal Party is looking like another win because the Free National Movement fails to get their own party together. You cannot run a country if you cannot run your own party. Get your house in order and then come back and see us.
Shanique, I've given the Prime Minister his credit on the show several times in the past, and I will continue to do that to this point. He has done an excellent job, I believe, of trying to tackle the legacy problems that have plagued this country for many decades. He's tried to bring development here, and some of the other stuff that Ellington said that I wouldn't waste my time repeating again. But the PLP, this current PLP administration has not been without its eyebrow-raising moments and some things that certain people would deem as scandals and major issues. Okay, and so you have to balance those things when you are looking for the Bahamian people to give you a fresh mandate. That is going to be the balancing act 9 months from now, when they seek that fresh mandate to return as the government of the Bahamas. Now, the quality of life improvements, the PLP are definitely attempting to do that through infrastructure, improving the grid, making sure that the water and lights don't go off, and they still are going off. These are still problems that are not fully addressed, especially in my beloved Eleuthera, where the water was off for 3 days over the weekend. Yeah, I have a 74-year-old mother. The water with senior citizens cannot have water for 3 and 4 days. Now, and then the illegal immigration problem.
Howard, you don't ever jump ahead of the host.
But you asked me what I think about the administration. You asked me about their performance. I'm telling you about their performance.
That's coming because water and sewage was supposed to be here. An executive from the water and sewage department was supposed to be here this evening to talk about Eleuthera's woes, and they are no show. So what's up, water and sewage? What's the real story? But carry on, Howard. Go ahead. We have more to get to.
So now, and I've been talking to several of my relatives, not just about that stuff, but Shanique, there's a serious illegal immigration problem on Eleuthera and elsewhere in the Bahamas too. This needs to be addressed. I mean, everywhere you look, according to my relatives on Eleuthera, every day you're seeing new persons, I mean, fresh on the island who you don't know, never seen before. And this is a very serious problem. And this is why the purveyors of the hysteria and the anarchy were able to win the day today, I believe, and last week, because the PLP government needs to do a better job of handling and managing these things. Now, this perception out there that this is an asylum bill, it's not real. But in this bill, they have to make it very clear, the Attorney General, the Minister of National Security, that they're not going to allow blanket or de facto immunity for illegal immigrants or any immigrants that land there, even those ones that are genuine victims, proven to be genuine victims. At the earliest possible time, we have to send them back home. You provide them with the conditional immunity that the international conventions say that we must do. Give them their medical treatment. Make sure they are safe and secure. But at the earliest possible time, we have to make sure that these immigrants are going back home. Me personally, I don't want nobody to have no asylum in the Bahamas.
I have to move it forward. I really needed a report card on Brave Davis.
Well, I give him a B+. I give him a B+ right now. I give him a B+ right now.
So Venice Petty had this show to North Eleuthera in particular, and especially Harbor Island, to address just what you said a moment ago, the illegal immigration Haitian issue, because Harbor Island is, as you would know better than me as a North Eleutheran, but Harbor Island is a thriving area of Eleuthera, one of the most thriving, and the Haitians have heard so. And guess what they've done? Come from other places and move there.
That's correct.
And so that's what's happening now, so it's burdensome. And again, he brought attention to it. They have had a number of raids, but you know what happens too? Sometimes the immigration officers call and say, hey, we come in the raid today, so we all just be MIA, eh? That's what that's what the people say. And so the thing about it is, this is so yes, the issue needs to be addressed. Of course it does. They've moved from different parts of the island. In particular, after the storm, a lot of them moved to Eleuthera, which was Dorian. A lot of them moved there. They have certainly gathered on Harbor Island because they hear that things are good in Harbor Island. It's green, green, green.
Yes.
And so certainly, of course, they went to take care of that. But let's just move forward. Still on politics, you all. Listen, we're talking about a number of interesting faces. You know, we've been doing that throughout. Who's trending? Who's showing to be quite interesting. Well, take this one. Andrew Blue Johnson has officially launched his campaign as an independent candidate for the Freetown constituency, opening his new office in the heart of the community at the weekend. Johnson was joined by supporters, including Progressive Liberal Party MP for Southern Shores, Leroy Major, the local pastor at Pilgrim Baptist Temple, and former Prime Minister himself, Dr. Hubert Minnis. Speaking to the crowd, Johnson described himself as a son of the community and promised practical solutions that will make a real difference. His campaign will focus on tackling crime, he says, supporting youth development, and creating more opportunities for small and local businesses.
Freetown cannot move forward if we are living in fear. Our children should not have to duck every time they hear a loud sound. Our seniors should not be scared to sit on the porch when the sun starts going down. Has to change. I'm putting the big idea on the table. Bring back and strengthen the Over the Hill initiative to drive commercial activity right here in Freetown. Nowhere else. Talented but idle. plenty skills, plenty potential, but nowhere to plug in after school except the corner. Tonight, I'm making a promise you can hold me to. We will build an innovative youth center in Freetown.
Remember, currently that area is being represented by the PLP's Wayne Monroe, but the party ultimately selected former Killarney hopeful Lincoln Deal as its standard bearer. This is the F&M headed into the 2026 general election. Now, in addition to Johnson's entry into the race, Oliver Griffin is also contesting the seat as an independent candidate. And we can talk with all these people when we get to Freetown during temperature check. Meanwhile, though, sources indicate that Dr. Patrice Hannah Carey is preparing to vie for the constituency as well under the newly formed Joshua Source political party. Gentlemen, jump right in. Your thoughts about all that's taking shape in Freetown. Andrew Blue Johnson really making this official by opening a constituency office.
This is kind of an unfortunate situation for the opposition, the Free National Movement. I think Andrew Johnson is going to be a formidable opponent. The opposition's loyal persons is going to go with Lincoln Deal. And congratulations to Wayne Monroe. Wayne Monroe is set to win the seat again because of this fracture.
Ellington, you calling the election months out?
Because of the fracture that is going on. You got two major persons from the Free National Movement, a very popular Johnson and Lincoln Deal, and the others in the mix, the Hannah lady, who has been there from several elections and stayed in that community, and then, hey, they're just giving it away on a platter. Congratulations, Mr. Monroe.
Oh, man, this is funny. As to the Griffin gentleman, I don't really know him or of him, but Patrice Hannah Carey, doctor, she calls herself doctor now. She has actually sat here with Shanique Miller, I do believe, and Mr. Clint Watson at one point, right here on the show when she was a part of the People's National Coalition. She moved over to the Coalition of Independence, was defeated there in the last general election, and now she is the leader of her own party. She has been there for some time, like Ellington said, never left the ground. So when it comes to taking care of the poverty issues of that Kemp Road area, she has been front and center, never leaving. Wayne Monroe, being the Member of Parliament, is also there. His team is always there. And so you know he's coming extremely strong, especially for this upcoming general election. As for the split that Ellington just spoke about, you have a Lincoln Deal coming from Killarney, who was very organized, Shanique Miller. He has a whole lot of resources. It seems he has a lot of financial strength as well, and he's bringing that to the forefront with classes for young children and taking them on bus rides, and you know, he owns his own companies. And so as a businessman, a young businessman up and coming, he has a lot of potential, but I don't believe his potential is going to be strong enough. What he's going to end up really truly doing is splitting the vote for Blue Johnson. And so that F&M and that independent vote is going to be split. And as Ellington just said, I stand with him tonight. We're going to see a victory from the Progressive Liberal Party in this one.
You all are actually calling that. Let's see. Go ahead, yeah. Howard.
So Shanique, I'm telling you from an optics perspective, Andrew Blue Johnson just came out of the gates when he did not get the F&M nomination. And I mean, I see why he likes to wear a lion on his shirt and using that as a symbol.
Courage.
Because
yes.
This man is out here roaring. He is out here roaring. From an optics perspective, Blue is front and center and winning this race at this moment, in my opinion. And I don't want to diminish him by saying optics, because behind his optics is actual work and activity that is being done in the Freetown community. I get what my colleagues are saying, and I respect their points. You look at several constituencies in the last general election, including Pine Ridge in Grand Bahama, where the incumbent Frederick McAlpine split the votes with the other F&M candidate, Ginger Moxie, was able to win. The votes bear that out. Now, the difference I believe with Andrew Blue Johnson is, yes, we can say that he is splitting the F&M votes because a lot of F&Ms wanted him to be their candidate. But something strange, and I mean that in a good way, is going on with Andrew Blue Johnson in Freetown. From what I can see from watching his stuff on social media and talking to people across the length and breadth of New Providence.
Yes.
Andrew Blue Johnson appears to be galvanizing people in Freetown, whether you are PLP, whether you are unaffiliated, whether you are F&M, he is just galvanizing and appears to be winning the hearts and souls of people. And if he could get that to translate into actual votes 9 months from now, Wayne Monroe and Lincoln Deal are in trouble.
Yes. I thank you.
$500, Shanique Miller. $500. I'm betting Howard. $500. Blue doesn't win. Right here tonight. I'll pull it out of my pocket. $500. Let me do Leslie Miller on you.
Pull it out. Listen, all kind of bets happening here on Beyond the Headlines. When we, God, Shay, listen, God has exactly what it takes. Listen, when we come back though, we're going to talk about former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis doing something like no other Prime Minister has done before, or even MP. I remember. That's answering your questions from your comments on his videos on social media. We can talk about that when we come back after the break.
The Bahamas is the premier destination for fly fishing because of its unique geography.
We've got the third largest barrier reef in the world in the Bahamas.
We have the largest aggregation of mangroves in the Western Hemisphere.
Which simply means we've got the largest marine biodiversity than anywhere else in the world.
I am unapologetic about Bahamians being owners in our #1 industry.
We should not just say, we should have it enacted into certain policies.
The Bahamas Fly Fishing Industry Association was instrumental in the 2017 sports fishing legislation. Anyone fishing in the Bahamas who's going to be guiding has to be certified and licensed, and thirdly, they have to be a Bahamian.
And that is historic, in that a model of conservation and a model for Bahamianization has been legislated, the only one in the country.
But it also gives Bahamians the opportunity with a sense of pride to know that at the end of the day, I'm contributing to the development of my country and something they can pass on for generations.
The out island of Bahamas, there are no other alternative industry that generates the kind of revenue that fly fishing does. The entire community benefits.
I would always encourage the tourists, people who want to fish, hire a local guide.
The guides in the Bahamas are some of the best trained fly fishing guides in the world. You know it because you see the results in terms of the kinds of fishing they're doing. They're catching the largest bonefish, the largest tarpon, largest permit. That is unique. So this is the lure to all the anglers internationally coming who thinks of the Bahamas as #1 destination for fly fishing and saltwater.
I'm really excited about this initiative that SPTC has brought forth for the fishermen.
If you have great guides and terrible boats and engines and nothing working and all this, you could be the best in the world. And people still have a terrible experience because they could not have a good day on the water.
I think one of the greatest things is to have access to quality capital, but not only having access to the capital, but terms and conditions related to the capital, so we encourage growth and expansion of the industry and professionalism within the industry because of the resources being at hand and having proper guidance.
It'll be a greater impact and they'll have a better experience.
And I foresee it being an opportunity that the guides are taking advantage of in terms of the opportunities for education, awareness, and resources. You always need to advise people, inform them, and then equip them. And so I think this process is essential because it allows those skill sets that are needed in a changing economy and environment, how they could then keep up with operating their small business.
So you want a space. But not just any space. You need something with a little more potential. So how about 1,000 square feet of room to play with? Superb audio and video production capability, digital LED wall, full lighting grid, and about 124 seats to accommodate a full studio audience, with so many other features. Make us your home for your next concert, conference, and so much more. Honestly, the possibilities are endless. Here at ILTV Studios, we'd love to bring your next event to life. So what do you say? Do you want our space?
Beyond the Headlines is now introducing powerful TV advertising opportunities made just for you. Choose our television ad package, 20 30-second ads for $2,000 or 20 60-second ads for $2,500 plus VAT. Prefer flexibility? Go a la carte. Just $150 for a 30-second ad or $200 for a 60-second ad. Step into the spotlight with our interview package. One 15-minute interview for $500 or 4 for $15 per month. Or bring Beyond the Headlines directly to you with our live on location package, only $2,600 plus VAT. For more information, contact our sales agent at 242-466-6173.
By the way, I see your comments. Everybody weighing in on Freetown and how Freetown is bound to shape up and who will get what and what. Listen, keep that coming, okay? We just getting started, y'all. We're gonna continue. What'd you say, Ellington?
Johnson got at least about 400 votes minimum.
Listen, Dr. Hubert Minnis, how about this? Let's just shift entirely. Taking a bold step and venturing in a direction not many go into, answering questions from viewers, unfiltered. Take a look.
Jason Lord. He's trying too hard. I see right through this nonsense. Jason, I was born in Benton, grew up in Coconut Grove and Kennedy Subdivision. That's me. Kelly Nettie, LOL, he never ceased to amaze me. Kelly, thank you very much, my dear. TP, should have been this relatable and funny when you had power, then I wouldn't have roasted you as I did. TP, as a doctor, I was very concerned with saving lives. That was my priority. Laverne Palacios, where is your compassion? Laverne, where is your heart? Anthony Green, what about the constituents of the Gambia community? Is that not a part of Kalani? Anthony, my wife and I are well known within the Gambia community. You can ask any child in that community and they know us. We spend lots of time in Gambia. Lisa Jade Miller. Y'all forget this man had y'all locked down like little children and go into the shops in alphabetical order. Lisa, the entire world was locked down via safety, and the entire world was working out formulas as to how to feed the nation and save as many lives as possible. Dion Benjamin Smith. Seems like his own neighborhood of tropical gardens, Gambia, gets the most attention. Kalani's vast. What about the rest of it? And then do it on camera, just before elections. Dion, I live in Kalani. I don't just represent Kalani. I dine in Kalani. I exercise in Kalani. Most of my life is centered around the constituency of Kalani.
And so, gentlemen, I want to ask each of you, what do you think about that? That was a very, very shrewd way of answering many of the questions directly to the people who posed them to him, that people have been wanting to ask really since Dr. Minnis was Prime Minister. But some of it was funny, some of it a little, tongue-in-cheek, but he answered them. I've not seen that done before. Your thoughts on this, like somebody say, where were you when you were Prime Minister? But on this, Dr. Minnis.
I think we're seeing the reinvention of the political Dr. Minnis. I think we're seeing Dr. Minnis as we have never known him. I think Dr. Minnis was in his last term, and I can go on the limb for him. He was baptized in fire. He walked into it. Many times, I think Dr. Hubert Ingram also experienced when he went into power, a storm came, I think like a year or a couple of months after he went in power, a tremendous storm. And to come on the heel of a bad storm, and you have COVID where the country is locked down, the world is locked down, sorry. We saw images around the world where the animals were now controlling the streets, and all the different animals that you didn't see before were walking on some of the streets. That's the only thing you saw. And so Dr. Minnis, like the United States, like other parts of Europe, many other countries, we had an enemy, a situation that we were not sure. I hated, I didn't like it, what he was doing these long, but nobody knew how to deal with this. We all were trying to figure out, what is this, what we're dealing with, how are we going to deal with this? And sometimes I think we kind of a little rough on Dr. Minnis as it relates to the methods that he had to take that the other parts of the world were taking. And so I think in the circumstances, nobody knowing what this is, how to deal with this, he done the best that most of us would have probably done. And I think you're seeing a Dr. Minnis that people really never got to know. And I love it. I applaud him for it. He's doing a wonderful job.
When we had Dr. Minnis as the Prime Minister, I only faulted him because I believe they had an issue with the public relations of what he did. My personal gripe for Dr. Minnis would have been the fact that many people got 6 months of free rent, and as a landlord, we couldn't collect $1. And you know, after the 6 months, they still blame COVID. So we didn't get no rent for a whole year, Dr. Minnis. A whole year, you call us that. But anyhow, other than that, I say, Dr. Minnis, you've done a lot for the country. You fed people. You took care of people. People got free money, and they're still complaining. It reminds me of the story of the children of Israel, Shanique Miller. You give them manna, you give them quail, you give them water, and you still cannot reach the promised land in 40 years. What is wrong with you people? You got to know when to count your blessings, count them one by one. But Dr. Minnis, I'll say this much. I do believe that if the Bahamian people were approached with much more respect, I think even with me, I felt a bit disrespected in your commentary when the media approached you. It was as if you didn't have time to really explain or to speak to us. We knew you were under enormous pressure, but when it comes to information, understanding, comprehension, sympathy, empathy, these are things that I believe could have been worked on better.
He's overwhelmed, God.
Yeah. I completely agree with God on particularly on that last point. But I believe that Dr. Minnis has been doing a yeoman's job of reinventing himself.
Absolutely.
I believe that this is a mea culpa of sorts that Dr. Minnis is doing when taking a retrospective look at some of the things that transpired under his administration that were very arduous and that were very difficult, heavy lifts, right? You know, the hurricanes and the COVID. And it was unprecedented for leaders across the world, right? And Dr. Minnis did not get everything right. And so I believe that what he is doing is dealing with, in this post administration forum, he is dealing with some of those things. And he's trying to definitely reinvent himself. But there are some other dynamics at play, right? I see one commenter at the beginning of the clip said, oh, he is trying too hard. What do you mean he's trying too hard? Because Dr. Minnis is the MP for the area. He is doing stuff. He is being transparent. He's working in the community. That's what he should do. I bet that very same poster, that commenter, if Dr. Minnis wasn't doing anything, they would be right there saying he ain't doing nothing. So, you know, the dynamics of you can't please everybody is at play here. And he's just being transparent. Dr. Minnis said, look, I was trying to save lives. Shanique, I know Bahamians were frustrated with what was going on during COVID, but I 100% agree with Dr. Minnis. You have to err on the side of saving lives. The communication could have been better, but saving lives was the top priority, and you don't want that on your conscience as a prime minister. I'd rather lose an election than lose lives.
Shanique, let me say this quick thing on that. Dr. Minnis, even though we think he done so bad, universities from the United States call on this man to explain to them, to give them a talk on how he managed a hurricane and on the heel of that dealt with COVID. I think that is commendable.
Well, I tell you, we've never seen again any former prime minister or former politician really answer the people as he did. And so we'll continue to watch this as we look at other people. I really wanted to talk about but perhaps we'll get to this tomorrow, gentlemen. Shifting, continuing on just the politics and how it's all shaping up all around us. But listen, we're going to get to it. We have a season straight ahead of us, and so we will certainly continue to highlight those who are trending, doing amazing things, and of course, perhaps those who perhaps should pull up their socks. And so, gentlemen, I thank you, each of you, very, very much this evening.
We're going to the break, right?
We're actually wrapping up tonight.
Well, we had fun in here tonight. We got so much things to say, Shanique.
We are wrapping up because you all don't know when to juggle. Just be succinct in your comments, man. Shoot.
Well, we like wrapping gifts. We don't want to wrap it up. We want to wrap it down.
Listen, I thank all of you so much for tuning in this evening. It's certainly been an awesome pleasure having you hang out with us. Yes. Looking forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow evening. For the entire Beyond the Headlines team, I'm Shanique Miller. Make it a great evening, everyone.